I got a quote for granite countertops and it was gonna be over $11,000. So in this video, we're gonna try a few techniques to build our own countertops at a fraction of the price. Watch until the end to find out just how much money we ended up saving and if we can come up with something that looks as good as granite.
It cracked. Oh gosh, these are heavy. Or I'm just tired and weak.
A little varnish and it'll look just like a Chipotle. So I think we should probably put a lot of screws holding these together because like that's what's gonna make this countertop feel solid. We needed 2 layers of plywood to get up thick enough so that our countertop didn't cover the drawer faces. And the easiest way to do that was just to layer 2 pieces of plywood rather than cut a bunch of furring strips. Well lined up everywhere. Trust but verify. So in the center would be 21.5. This was the very first power tool I was ever gifted. I think I was 7 or 8. How old is Oliver before he can have power tools? I'm giving myself a little handle so that it doesn't fall.
Nicely done.
Thanks. And that's how you make a countertop for $16. But we're gonna make a countertop for more like $100, so let's cut some tile. This is a large format porcelain tile. It is 2 feet by 4 feet, and it's big enough that we're gonna be able to make the entire bathroom countertop out of one piece, so there's not gonna be any grout joints on it. Now, normally the problem with tile countertops is how do you finish the exposed edge on the front? You can do wood, you can do a bullnose tile, there's all kinds of things. And we found this product that's like the hack to making all of this work. Maybe, we're gonna find out. We've never done this before. This is the single most expensive piece of this entire project. So the next step is going to be assembling this. It came with this like bullnose outside corner piece that was machined and fancy and was supposed to fit in here, and it didn't fit. So now we're having to go off book and come up with our own way, mitering. Okay, a wood countersink bit. Hey, it's working. So I always like to mark so I'm cutting my line off. The kettle is because it is so cold out here that the water was literally freezing on my grinder and on the tiles. So I'm going to hold this in 5/8. I have no idea if I'm all the way through or not. I'm gonna have to just pick it up and see.
No way, Riley.
Look at that. That'd make like a little side table. All right. Wow.
See.
Nice, Courtney. That looks great. So normally when you set tile, first you'd screw some kind of backer board material down really well. Then you'd use thin set mortar to attach the tile so that the tile is really well supported behind it. And that makes sure that none of the tile moves, and when you put your grout joints in, the grout joints don't crack. Well, we don't have any grout joints, and we just have one piece of tile, and we just need to stick it down to wood. So I'm gonna be using construction adhesive. So if you've been around the channel a long time, then you know that this is really similar to the way we built the wall panels on our camper. Same glue. Okay. Now we want to kind of like, yeah. My other question is, why do we always finish tile projects in the dark? Every single time. Painting, tiling, why are those the things we choose to do in the dark? That's the right way, right? Yeah.
Good morning. Riley finished both of the bathroom counters and they look amazing. I can't wait to show you guys. But there's one more thing we need to do before we can call the bathrooms done, and then we're gonna move on to concrete countertops. I went into Bamboo Labs Maker World and I found these cabinet pulls that I really like. This file's already been designed by someone else, so all I'm gonna have to do is hit print. I don't have to design anything. A magic fairy came in and drilled the holes for me. Wow, that looks so cool.
It does.
I love how like streamlined it is.
Yesterday afternoon, I got the counters here in the primary bathroom finished up, and I think they turned out super nice. I'll break down the price here in a second, but first, would I do this again? Yes, definitely. I love the way they turned out. I think it's a great solution for a bathroom on a budget. I think the biggest downside is that cutting the porcelain tiles with a grinder was really difficult. Like, they wanted to chip. I did end up breaking one. Luckily, I had an extra, but I would say that the biggest downside was that it is really difficult to cut the tiles. So how much did it cost? The quote that I got for granite countertops in this bathroom alone was gonna be $2,000. And we did this countertop for $132, which means that between the two bathrooms, we saved over $3,000 by making our own countertops out of porcelain. It worked out so well because with the large format tiles, we had very few grout joints. Well, one grout joint in this counter and 0 grout joints in the other counter. I don't know that I would want to do this in a kitchen necessarily, where there'd be a lot more seams than the countertop. So instead, what we're going to do today is we're going to pour our own concrete countertops. We've poured concrete countertops a few different times, and each time we've done it a little bit different. The first time we did it, we built forms on the top of the counters and then poured the concrete directly on the counters. The most recent time we did it, we built molds down on the ground, poured the concrete into the molds, and then flipped them over onto the counters. We really like the way that those ones turned out. So that's how we're gonna be doing it today. So we have 5 molds to make, and then we can start pouring concrete. 67 3/4. How much overhang off the back do you want? 12 inches? This is melamine faced particle board, and it's gotta be like the cheapest wood that you can get at the hardware store. It's usually used for building shelving and stuff out of, but it's got this plastic waterproof coating on it that's super smooth, and we're gonna use this to build the molds for our counters. Just until we're through. If someone gets a nomination for coolest thing ever, it's the track saw. And now we didn't have to haul that thing through the table saw. Okay, Oliver's the coolest thing ever, Courtney's the second coolest thing ever, and track saw wins 3rd or 4th. Not the most ergonomic work center. Okay, remember that it is upside down, so we don't want to build it backwards. Oh wait, it doesn't matter on this one. It's the same. But like on the kitchen sink, it's gonna matter. That's our island. This is basically like every kitchen from 1970. I'm just gonna say it for the record. I think you were right in going a little smaller for the island. I wanted the island to be 2 feet bigger, which would have made for obviously a bigger island, but it would have meant that this space would have got really cramped. Okay, am I allowed to say like, don't buy this tape measure?
Why not?
Okay, I'm not usually negative, but do not buy this tape measure. The Milwaukee Auto Lock. It is the most frustrating thing that it doesn't retract. I don't know what I expected when it said auto lock, but it's my nemesis. But it's also the one that I never use, so it's the only one that's always in its place. It's like every time you have to press the button and push it back in. Assembly time. Yeah, does that corner line up? Probably a lot of screws. What does that mean?
You guys are just gonna have to trust us on these next few steps because they're gonna seem a little weird. I'm gonna start by dusting it. Swiffer picker-upper. I cannot believe that this already exists. I thought I was gonna have to have Riley design me something, but I kid you not, someone has already designed it for me. Have you figured out yet what this is? Basically, if we poured the counters right now, this corner where the 2 pieces of melamine meet makes this really sharp 90. And it's pretty likely that the concrete counters would chip and the edge wouldn't look good. So I like to caulk it. It gives it a little nice round over that'll become the top of the counters to have like a mini bull nose. It also helps keep the concrete from like splooging out while it's curing. And I just missed a tiny bit of Windex on. Did you figure it out? Okay, this is a caulk tool. This is gonna help me get a really nice, perfect edge because it's gonna scrape away all the extra caulk that I don't want. Oh yeah. I like using colored caulk because it lets you see if you like make a mistake or if you have overage. It's way easier to see than like with white caulk.
So now it's time to figure out how we want to break this up. We can't make this in one piece. It would be just way too big, impossible to install, impossible to make. So we have to either make it in 2 or 3 pieces. So one idea is 1 piece here, 1 piece that goes to here, and then 1 piece over here. Or I think we could also make it in 2 pieces where we break it right here. Speaking of sink, this is an overmount sink. So basically, we just have to make a hole in our concrete countertop that this sink is gonna drop into, like that. I think we're gonna have to do it in 2. I just don't see if we had this big counter with a heavy thing over here and a heavy thing over here, how we'd ever lift these 2 and get it into place without breaking it right where the sink is. So by doing it in 2 pieces and breaking it up right here, we're gonna have sort of these dainty little fingers that go around, but it does mean they're gonna be a lot lighter and hopefully not break. Got all my numbers figured out. The tricky part about this is I drew what we want to end up with as the finished product, which means we have to build them backwards of this since we're pouring them upside down. No, I don't want that tape measure.
Hey, you got some sun now.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. Okay, I think I'm gonna do the more challenging one first. Yeah, so now it's time to make the mold for the sinkhole. That always sounds so weird when I say it out loud. The sinkhole. 2 inches. So the screws were too long and they were gonna poke through and scratch the floor inside.
Inside?
Yeah, we're gonna pour this concrete inside because it's freezing outside. Bath time?
We don't have a hose on this entire property. I'm measuring the water because we're gonna start mixing concrete. All right, we're gonna start with that.
That was 3 or that was 2?
Now
I thought I only saw 2.
we watched the video back.
What was the conclusion of watching it back?
We watched the video back and I only put 2.2. This is the part where things get a little bit hectic and a little bit stressful, and we hope for the best. In the past, we've always just used normal concrete mix to mix our countertops. So we've done like the Quikrete countertop mix or even just like normal concrete, but it's got the aggregate stones in it. And it is hard to get rid of all the air bubbles. So this time we're gonna try using like a specialty concrete countertop mix that's got fiberglass mesh, that has fiberglass mesh as the reinforcement instead of little pebbles and stones. So hopefully there's no air bubbles. We'll let you know how it works.
But the special additive we bought is for 60-pound bags, and we have 80-pound bags. So we need to measure out how many times do we got to do this?
Just a few.
62.4. Okay, so it's about half the water now, right? And then this little packet of special stuff. So you say there's like fiberglass in this thing? And some kind of plasticizer, I think. So this here is a colorant that's gonna make the concrete a little darker. I literally feel like I'm baking a cake. Oh man, my hands are black. Now I understand why you're not doing this. Sifted, level 3. That literally looks like cake batter. Okay, this weighs what, like 80 pounds now? Woo! I see, as I almost spill it. But man, what a weird consistency, huh?
In.
Vibrate the forms to get the air out of them. And Courtney just had the craziest idea, which is that we're pouring upstairs, we can get to it from below. I'm gonna take the hammer drill and I'm gonna hammer on the floor joists to try to vibrate the form. I'm just not exactly sure where you are. Can you tap on the floor?
A bunch of bubbles came out.
Bubbles came out?
Yes.
Nice. Okay, I think that works then. I'm gonna do it more.
Now show me how you know how to talk with a little bit of traction and put it into action. What you saying?
I am physically exhausted from lifting this much heavy stuff.
Okay, you guys, I think we're about to mix our last batch, hopefully because...
You're gonna make it happen.
You think this was something else?
You gotta go like girl.
Lift with my back while hyperextending my knees.
Oh gosh.
And then I go like this.
Careful, it's really full.
Then spill the whole thing on the ground.
Hey, what you say, is it what you mean? Or are you only talking? It's okay, anyway, if you're gonna leave, then you better get walking. Or are you only watching? Are you lonely watching?
Good morning and welcome back. Things got pretty hectic towards the end of the day yesterday as we were getting all this concrete poured, and I'm not even sure that we showed you guys like the end result of all of the counters filled up with concrete, but I am super happy with how they're turning out. We're gonna wait and leave these guys in the molds to let them cure for at least another day or two. So in the meantime, I'm gonna start working on finishing up the details in the rest of the kitchen. So while we wait for those first cabinet poles to print, I'm gonna design a little drill jig so that we can make sure that every cabinet pole is lined up perfectly on these cabinets every time. A little backstory on these printers. Last winter, I bought a Bamboo Lab 3D printer to make the crazy remote control UTV snowplow contraption. And Bamboo Lab watched that video and they reached out to us about becoming a channel sponsor, which we are so stoked to have them on board on this channel. The first printer you saw Courtney use was the A1 Mini, and at a very approachable $199, it comes pre-assembled and would make the perfect gift for that creative niece, nephew, or grandchild in your life. The next printer you watched Courtney use was this A1 to print this caulking tool. At just $399, it has a ton of features. With the AMS, it supports multicolor printing, it's got exceptional print quality, and a much larger print area than the A1 Mini. And I'm gonna be using this P1S to print all these cabinet poles. I like the P1S because with the enclosure, it allows me to print high performance materials like ABS plastics, and the enclosure also means that I can leave it out in the shop without worrying about the printer itself getting dusty and dirty from the shop grime. So whether you're shopping for yourself or someone creative in your life, Bamboo Lab offers a complete lineup of 3D printers. To get yours, head to the link in the description below, and make sure to tag us in your creative projects. Here's our finished part, and here's how it works. Up 6 inches to my little mark, just like that. Two down, 25 to go. Okay, we're about to bust the sides of the forms off, and the concern is that they could either look great or they could be full of air bubbles, and we're about to find out. Yeah, I was not nervous about this at all until now, and I think it's just because there was nothing I could do. I guess there's still nothing I could do. Ooh, those look pretty darn good, Courtney. One side down, 20 to go. Tip this one up. The suspense is just killing us. We cannot wait one more day. Okay, now set 80 pounds onto my fingertips. Okay, it's releasing, Courtney.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Oh my gosh.
That actually looks really good. That might be the best pour we've ever done, Courtney. Good. I'm gonna try to back down first. Just trying to keep off the face frame so if we slide it, it doesn't end up.
Good thinking.
Oh yeah, there we go. Oh yeah. You guys good? Let's rotate in like this. A little further, Chris. Tyler, you clear? Oh. 1, 2, 3. So now we're gonna lift like basically all the way up, down right there. And then at some point, we're basically just gonna have to pick up. Am I in down now? We put that piece of rebar that kind of bends around and around to try to support this, but I'm really worried about just breaking this piece off as we try to move it into place. So pretty much we're gonna have to try to just pick it up from here and hope that that is self-supporting. Fingers underneath, let's rotate up.
It cracked.
Oh, like super broken. It's right where the rebar ends. I should have gone all the way around. Fit. All right, last countertop. This is the first one that we mixed up, and I'm pretty sure we learned that we mixed the first batch of concrete too dry, and so we're worried there's gonna be a bunch of pinholes in the surface of this one. Okay, ready?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no.
Courtney, it looks great.
I was freaking out for no reason.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has a few pinholes, but I would not say that that looks bad at all. couple days later, and I think I like them more and more every day. Like they're starting to, some of the moisture starting to dry out of them and the colors are evening out. And I think this is what we can expect once they've fully cured. They're so flat. Today we're installing the sink, which is like, I think the final steps for the countertops, right? And we're just gonna glue it on, right? Did we ever go back and glue the countertop in your mom's tiny house down? Remember we just like set it in for the video and then said, well, we'll do that later. And then, yeah, if you can help me guide those. How are we looking left and right?
Tight fit.
Yeah, it just barely fits. Nice. And then as far as the crack that's right here, I think the lesson learned is that we should have put more rebar reinforcement in around the sink area, or maybe even like welded an entire frame that we set in for the sink to support the concrete. Moving these things into place was really difficult and I'm bummed that it cracked, but we decided to just go ahead and use the countertop anyways. I don't think the crack is that noticeable, and I bet Corey's gonna be able to fill it in and make it almost disappear. Finishing touch. Would we do concrete countertops again? I think that every time we've ever done this, we've learned a new lesson and they've come out a little bit different. They're concrete and they have character. Personally, I really like the way they turned out, but I do understand that they're probably not for everybody. So now let's talk numbers. We have 50 square feet of countertop in here with granite countertops at $150 a square foot. That would be $7,500 to do countertops in this kitchen. I priced out butcher block from the local lumber yard, and the butcher block would have been $930 for the countertops in this kitchen, which brings us to the concrete. How much did we spend pouring these concrete countertops ourselves? We spent $420 making these countertops. 420 bucks to do countertops in this entire kitchen. We put together a full cost breakdown as well as a list of all the products we used on this project, and we'll put that in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.